Hello and welcome to the 60 for 30 project. I am Xander Miller and I am sitting here with Grace Scalzo. Grace, how are you doing?
I'm good, Xander. How are you?
I'm doing well today, though it is a bit hot in general,
Yes.
so it's interesting. So let's get started right away.
Okay.
So I guess what neighborhood or what area are you from?
So I am originally from the heart of Kenosha, you would say. I'm not too south. I was more north side here. I grew up in Hunter's Ridge, a very, very nice neighborhood that I lived in until I was in about fourth grade. I am Italian. My nana lives in like Little Italy, so spent a lot of time. We call it Little Italy because it's literally all of the people that came from Italy right off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Live right next to each other, if you can believe that. So she lives north side as well. Spent a lot of time there growing up. Another nice neighborhood. And then I went to a couple private schools when I was younger. Still in the Hunters Ridge house. Had some family stuff come up. Switched to public. Grew up in KUSD. So I would consider all of Kenosha my neighborhood so far, just because of all the interaction that I've had with the different communities growing up.
So you've been around all over Kenosha, kind of.
Yeah, even from like playing basketball growing up in the Boys and Girls Club, it doesn't matter if you were at a South Side school or a North Side school, you're on the same team. So I feel like I got a lot of different communities in one here in the city.
Awesome. So you've got a wide range of experience. It's cool.
Yeah.
So in your time here, how have you experienced Kenosha's culture, or what is Kenosha's culture to you?
Okay, so Kenosha's culture. I would say that it is very broad. Obviously, like I mentioned, my story is tied closely to the Italian traditions. And right actually before this, I came from my nana's house where she was making fresh bread, literally making bread. So that's some of the stuff that I grew up with. Then playing sports, growing up in the different areas that I mentioned, you see a lot of different things and people. So I know that my background can't really speak to the city as a whole, but I would describe the culture as broad, diverse, very welcoming, I would say. Got that Midwestern charm. Where you go, I feel like everybody's super kind. I would say it's a culture of learning and growth. We had the Foxconn thing come up. I know that didn't really come through completely, but I think that the city is expanding and it's progressive, I would say, even from um, middle school, high school, college, just seeing the different levels of people I talk to day to day, like our BSU president, Black Student Union at Parkside, her name's Crystal. She was telling me that like the culture for her is more like it's not, she can't define it yet. It hasn't been fully evolved, developed, experienced yet. So I think that every day we'll just keep expanding, and I'm just happy that I get to be a part of the Kenosha story here and hopefully take it in the right direction as we move forward.
So you say learning and growth, and it sounds like you're a student at Parkside.
Yes.
How have you seen learning and growth, especially as a student? You said you grew up through KUSD.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at Parkside. How have you seen learning and growth throughout Kenosha?
Um, I've seen learning and growth in not only like my own classrooms, but then when I think about the people that went to the different schools that I didn't go to, they seem to add something to the mix every time we're at, like now I'm at Parkside. It's predominantly a commuter school. I know there's some people that come from maybe like the county area or really inner city or anything, and then we get together, we're in a group for class, and we're all learning, but I'm also learning, I'm expanding on my own knowledge based off what they bring to the table from their background, because they have such different backgrounds. Like one has never even seen a basketball game, and then we're talking about the Bucks game 5 coming up. Like it's just everybody has so many different things to add. So I feel like the learning and growth comes from just expanding, getting involved, being around different people as much as possible because they are in the city. It's just if you find them or if you don't, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and have you been able to find just different or diverse people to just interact with, to grow with?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I played on a basketball team growing up. I was on an all boys team, Kenosha Small Fry. Shout out to them. They like made me the basketball player person or part of who I am. I would say, because you're playing with boys and you're a girl. It's like and they all have their own different ethnicities, backgrounds, everything. They're beating up on you. They don't care if you're a girl or a boy, because everybody's just there to get better. It's one common goal of learning and growth and everything, even in a sports setting. And then as you progress, like then I was at Bullen Middle School. Bullen Middle School was a weird time for me. I had come from All Saints, a private school, had like a financial switch with my family. My dad was no longer in the picture. So then you get to Bullen, and it's like all these people I had never seen, culture shock, everything like that. So then I found tons of different people there. My parents would come pick me up for like a dentist appointment, and they'd be like, wow, you really got like every single kind of person. It's like a really good life lesson to go to a school like that and grow up in a building there where the teachers are supportive, but then also you get to see like yourself who represents our city. And then got to Bradford. It was the basketball team again, tons of different girls. So we played against some girls that were already moms. Like there's just real life things going on. Others are at MIT, like went from Bradford to MIT. Like it's just a very broad spectrum here. And then get to Parkside. I'm glad to stay local. Jenny Knight used to coach at Parkside. Famous, I would call her, a coach. She played at Louisville, from this city, got to do all that. So there's just so many different backgrounds and people that I've come across through sports, through music, to choir, everything in between. So there's so many people at Bradford too that like went to Michigan for choir, and they come from like really humble neighborhoods, and maybe not the Hunter's Ridge before we moved and everything like that, but they get to where they want to go because people in Kenosha are driven and they're nice, but they're gonna get to where they want to go. And so I love that aspect of the culture as well, and that's really what I've seen from the backgrounds.
Yeah, that's actually, it's interesting that within your own city, you experience going from one school to another, or from the Boys and Girls Club to another team, a culture shock within your own city.
Yes.
That sounds very interesting. That how, I guess, with feeling culture shock, you're within a city, you may have you. I guess I should ask, has there been a point where you thought you knew Kenosha and then you're like, oh my gosh, what happened here?
Yes, definitely. Early on, spent a lot of time at my nana's that I keep mentioning. That's what I knew. I knew toasting coffee in the morning with the fresh bread she made the night before, and like pasta and meatballs at Thanksgiving, everything. And then that's really early on. Private school is great education, lots of opportunities there. It's just very sheltered. So I wouldn't have thought, or I don't think my parents thought that was the school system route I would have taken either, like private for elementary and then public for middle and high school. That's probably not what they thought was going to happen. But then things shook out the way they shook out, and I'm thankful for the culture shock, because as a 12-year-old, you go up the street, you're now exposed to all the things that you had no idea were part of your city. And then even like financially, I don't want to go back to that, but like you see, I didn't have an understanding of what, like, coming off of, being able to do whatever the first couple of years, then you get to middle school, there's a financial change at home, you're seeing like the breakfast is served at school. That's not a thing at private school. It's like lunch, hot lunch, unless you brought a cold lunch or whatever. But at middle school and high school, it was like there's kids that get breakfast there in the morning, get lunch there in the morning, and then maybe get dinner, maybe don't. So I loved the fact that I was exposed to that stuff early on in middle school and high school, and that I was able to, like help where it was needed, and like get involved any way I could, whether it was serving the breakfast or as another thing too, like in elementary school, I wasn't around any students that had learning disabilities. I wasn't exposed to that either. So then I get to middle school, and I had a buddy who was had a learning disability, and he would sit next to me, and I would take my notes and then break it down a little bit for him. And I love that because I feel like it's added to my character and my own culture today. Now I can be a good representation of Kenosha, whether I'm here or whether I move. It's just something that I'll take with me always. So I'm really thankful for that.
So now you've taken those experiences, you're bringing them to Parkside.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking, now you're at Parkside, after college, this whole room of opportunities for you. What are your plans when it comes to staying in Kenosha, or as you said, get things done that they need to here?
Right.
What are your plans in that sense?
That's a good question. I don't have all the answers yet. I feel like I'm taking it day by day and as opportunities present themselves, but I would definitely classify myself as someone who's very hungry, seeing struggle, being part of struggles, and then knowing what I want to get to, which is ultimately, like I mentioned earlier before we started, being a sideline reporter maybe one day, which is like a dream job for me. But it's really the people like you, Jason here, Brandon Morris, that get me into these opportunities and allow me to expand in that way. I'll always be rooted deeply in Kenosha for the people that have helped me here. I feel like I don't really know what the future holds, but this will always be home base. And even if I do a master's somewhere and not at Parkside, or maybe out of Kenosha, I've literally been here forever. Like sometimes it's like, your friends go away to school and you're like, still here. No, but it's great. I love it. I love it. I love the Kenosha Public Library. I love what you guys got going on here. But yeah, so whether it's grad school far away to maybe expand or surroundings, maybe another culture shock, I'm pretty open to that. I would love to see that for myself again because I liked the growth that came with it. Or if it's staying here and, meeting more people in Kenosha, because I know I haven't met everybody yet. And if I did a master's at Parkside or got a job right out of it and commuted from Parkside, I just want to do what's the best for me in economically and growth-wise too. I don't want to sacrifice any aspect, but I know that home will always be Kenosha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there is it seems like you have a strong connection with the city. No matter what you do, it's, home is, you've been here and it sounds like you've experienced so much in Kenosha. It's like,
yes,
in your memory, it's become a core of part of your person, right?
For sure, definitely. I would say that Kenosha has helped raise me. I've just come across people. I think I was at Pick and Save when I was really little. This is such an embarrassing story, but I was with my mom. I was like 5 or 6, and I was like, cotton candy, sweet to go. And the Pick and Save guy's next to me, and he's like, Tootsie Roll. Like, I don't know, it's just all these little stories that you remember from growing up. And maybe if I was in a different city, the Pick and Save guy probably wouldn't have sang with me. There's just, everybody here has just added something to me in some way, and I remember it and cherish it, and I'm proud to call it part of the culture here. I don't want to flip the script on you and ask you any questions, but what do you think? Do you think I'm missing anything here in terms of the culture aspect? I don't want to leave anything out, but.
Well, no, I think this is, it's a valued experience seeing what you've experienced as Kenosha's culture. And then also how that's affected you and changed your character. That's extremely valuable there. Though I do want to ask, where do you see Kenosha's culture going in, say, 5 years?
Okay. Where do I see it going? I see it developing further. I think that there's been such a divide between the people, let's say, that stayed in the public or the private school system when I went to public, that were sheltered from the outside world. I think social media, these types of videos will really help the people, not help, I guess they don't need help, but offer up other insights than what the different experiences people have lead them to. So if you started in a private school system and you stayed there till high school, if you ask anybody, I'm sure when they get to high school, it's like, whoa, now there's thousands of kids and I'm not just who I was. So I see that in the future from social media, from books, from different learning opportunities, people having a better understanding of each other and being able to add stuff to their own background instead of waiting till you got to, let's say, 14, 15, you're in high school now you're starting to get it. I feel like it'll come at an earlier age, which will only help in the years to come as people get older and enter the workforce. We'll have a more diverse and inclusive workforce and school system as well. Because I know there's been some stories like when I was playing at Bradford, and we went to a couple different schools in the conference, so I won't be specific because it's past, but there's been some like racial comments being yelled from the stands, and I feel like that's just because of what they know at their time and place, and they're not exposed to what maybe Bradford has to offer. So I'm hoping that videos like this and the direction I think the area of Kenosha is going will help people expand their knowledge and be more inclusive and everything like that.
So it sounds like when it comes to where it's going, it's seeing more people out of their bubble.
Yes.
And experiencing, and that's kind of what you experienced going from private to public school. Is just the shock, and then you're like, oh wait, everyone's people.
Yes. Yes.
So that's where I guess where you'd see in 5 years, for say, what you see in Kenosha.
Yeah, I also see more opportunities. Like we have Brandon Morris with the Building Our Future, and Tatiana, who I just talked to on my little show for Parkside. I did a whole interview with her, and she was just saying that their mission is from cradle to career. So I think that's another huge opportunity. I just think there'll be more opportunities like that to help Kenoshans expand their character, their culture. That opportunity for the youth right there will set someone up that wouldn't have been set up. I would also say though that people could totally lend a helping hand whenever it's needed, even outside of opportunities. I think going to Parkside, again, it being a predominantly commuter school, I've realized the value in saying like, hey, I'll help, because chances are the commuters, are trying to get back home as soon as they're done with class. So if you have that time, if you can at all make any time to get involved, I feel like you should, and I do think that's the direction that Kenosha is going.
Just helping hand whenever possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's especially when we look at the last year, one of the things that comes up I see is resilience in Kenosha, whether it be unrest, whether it be a pandemic. Resilience has been consistent and giving a helping hand where you can.
Right.
And have you seen that as well during the past year of experiences in Kenosha?
Yeah, I think I know obviously we couldn't go anywhere, so over online, or you'd see like when the civil unrest happened or there was opportunities for cleanup or something, I do think that the turnout was better. Maybe that's because people wanted to get out of their house. Maybe it's because they felt like they wanted to be a better person, but regardless, they did it. And so I just think involvement is huge, and I think it's huge for character too. When you attach your character to a title, like for me it used to be team member. Now it can be Kenosha Public Library. It could be anything. But when you feel that sort of involvement and family, unit type of feel, I think it just helps everyone be more positive, and that's what I was looking forward to coming out of the pandemic, because I know our city, I know how the festivals usually are, like the Holy Rosary Festival, the St. Peter's, all that, the church festivals, the Summerfest, even that's Milwaukee, but I know a lot of people from Kenosha go. Just that feeling of belonging to something and being there, and then since you're there, you might as well help out. So I just think now that we're getting back out and people realize that we're all human, we've all been through the past year together, it's been a rough year, they're coming around, they're trying to get involved, and I think that's what we need to see, and I like to see it.
Yeah. Wow. So for any current leadership or just leadership in general in the city, the county area, what would you like to let them know, or would you say to them?
Two leaders?
Any leaders, any leadership, yes.
I would say to leaders, I would say if you want to be a leader, find a leader and do what they do. Be the mentee for a little bit until you can be the mentor. Put yourself out there, like we were saying earlier. If you are a leader, I would say make sure, like right now I know a couple companies that I would like to work for don't really have internship opportunities. Maybe it's because we're coming out of COVID, maybe it's because whatever, but at this age, that's something that I would be looking for. Since it's not an opportunity, I'm still trying to figure out how I can get a part-time position or, get involved however I can. But if you're a leader, I would say extend those opportunities, share your knowledge, even if you feel like you're a broken record and someone new is going to hear it and it's going to impact their life for the better. So I would just keep saying, share your story. Like this right here, I'm not a leader, but I'm, working at it. And so getting to talk about your experience, it adds to others. Fill things up. I asked someone if they could have one superpower, what would it be? And she said the power to fill things up. I thought that was huge. If you could fill someone up with positivity, keep your glass half full instead of half empty, et cetera, et cetera. Fill things up if you're a leader. If you're not a leader, I would just say that's another huge part of it too.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting way to answer. I have never heard that answer to the question. So
Me either.
Knowing that, I feel like I have to ask this, right?
Oh gosh.
If you had one superpower, what would that be?
Previous to hearing that, I probably would have said something like read minds so I can understand people better and I don't know why I'm choking. Understand people better and develop a better sense of community, add to this culture. After hearing that, I would definitely say the power to fill things up. So yeah, power to fill things up.
Oh my gosh.
What about you?
For me, oh gosh, I'm still on that read minds train.
Okay.
Always got to know just the better ways to help out or figure out, what is exactly is wanted out there.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
In the end there, it's really what I'm hearing is being helpful. That's a big tool for you. Learning from other people, experiencing different areas of life, even within the city, which is I'm still thinking about how you've moved all over the place and just experienced so many different parts of Kenosha. And while you're still staying in Kenosha, that's just incredible to me. So,
yeah.
Wow.
I lived in Kenosha. I technically now don't know what's going on right here. Technically now I live in Mount Pleasant, Racine. So everything's 262. So it's all the same across the board. But I would just say the opportunities for culture and experience are out there, and being helpful will help you find them. And you can find them if you're looking. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Well, Grace, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close out?
I would like to apologize for the fact that I'm joking right now, but anything else I would like to say? Well, thank you for having me. Honestly, this has been really fun for me, and to Jason too. Thank you. No, I would just say get involved and embrace your city and love it. That's it.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.